Hello, this is Betty from Betty's Harvest Right Freeze Dryers group on Facebook. I wanted to show you how to use the Ice Guard kit that FrozenRight.com sells. And this is my older knob style unit, which has a drum that was forged by using a long flat sheet of metal, and it was bent into a circular shape with a welded seam here about the 10 o'clock position. So in order to get the top cover to fit on your rack, depending on which unit you have, the newer freeze dryers are sold with a, I don't know, you could call it a pipe or a tube, but the circular shape was preformed, so there's no welded seam on it like this one has. So it really kind of depends. And of course there are the different sizes of freeze dryers being sold now. This is the mid size of the three that they're selling currently. This particular rack is from my knob style unit. I'm just inserting into my knob style freeze dryer at the moment. I do have the other original rack with it here. But I wanted to show you that if it does not fit and will not insert into your drum with the cover here sitting on top of the insulation, you can actually remove this insulation piece using a metal putty knife that you can find in a hardware store. It pries up just slowly and easily all the way back, and then slip on the cover here onto the top of the rack, and then stick the insulation back on. And actually I had to add no additional adhesive. It stuck on nicely. If you have problems pushing your rack into the back, that of course could just be your cable that is in the way in the back part of your drum. But it should fit. Some of the older freeze dryers do have a rubber glider cover here on either side of this rack. This one used to have it, but I pulled it off. It actually still has the adhesive on either side from when it was stuck on there. They stopped putting that rubber runner on quite a while back, so you don't have to probably be concerned about that taking up some of your space, because anything underneath or above your rack is going to take up some of the diameter of your drum. Now this rack I have sitting on top of the freeze dryer. This is the one that came with my knob style unit. It does not have the aluminum cover underneath the insulation because it will fit nicely on top of the insulation. What you want to do is have the rack out a little bit. Just insert your cover on top, slide it in place, and then you can hold it in place, push the whole unit right on inside. My welded section from the drum is exactly the same position of the top left corner of this rack. So sometimes I have to kind of have it tilted a little bit and then rock it back in order to get it in place. So you push that back like you normally would, approximately an inch in from the exterior edge. The ice guards with the ledge here go into position. What you want to do is insert them into the opening, feed it all the way to the back, and then drop it in place. Because if you try to start at the front and slide it back, it's going to run into the back bracer bar, which is the same as this except the ones in the back. And this thickness here gets in your way when you're trying to slide this in. That's why what I do is just insert it into the opening all the way back and then drop it down, and it slides right up next to the racks. You do that on both sides. These do an amazing job keeping the ice away from the bottom shelf and your bottom tray that you would have in place. It's just incredible. The ice builds up all around here, even underneath, but it comes and just sits on the top of this little ledge. It doesn't come down underneath this aluminum width here, so it doesn't touch the bottom tray or the bottom shelf, which is excellent, because in the old days before I had these, the ice would build up, especially on high moisture foods, and it would touch the bottom shelf as well as sometimes the bottom tray. And that fools the heat sensors. It makes it think that the food is not dry because it's so cold. It's still suggesting that the food is damp. So the cycle just runs for hours longer than was necessary. Sometimes the cycle would end and say that it's complete, but the food was not dry. And I would say 90% of the time that was because the high moisture of the food was so much that there was not ample room on the drum to hold all the ice, because maybe I had more than 10 pounds of food. So since I had the problems of extended cycles, I started just using a maximum of 8 pounds of food weight, total food weight, per cycle on the high moisture foods. On low moisture foods, I still use the 10 pounds maximum weight, which Harvest Right suggests. So if you want to have a better experience at freeze drying high moisture foods, limit it to the 8 pounds and you will be much happier with the cycle. So as you can see, this top cover, when it's just sitting on top of the insulation, it will still move around just a little bit. These drums are not meant to have excess space, so it could be a little bit tight for you. But this will work. I love it. If you're interested in learning more about freeze drying at home using a Harvest Right home freeze dryer, come check out my Facebook group called Betty's Harvest Right Freeze Dryers Group. We'd love to have you share our experiences with you, and you share yours with us as well. Thank you so much for watching.